game. This is going to be a spicy one. This is Bifrost. This is Bifrost versus Riddle. This is DiamondProx jumping into the NLC for the first time. I know Initial Eyes is already in the studio like, okay, I'm going to cast DiamondProx, but let's look into this game. Let's take a fresh breath at what we can expect from this one. Riddle versus Bifrost, I'm going to start with you, M-Test.
I think actually this for me is the hardest one to predict because, as you mentioned, Dusty, again, they kind of changed all their plays except for Backlund, who was kind of there. He was really stable last split, and he was doing really well, but I think now they have this kind of pop-off potential, I would say, in Kerberos, in the Voxne as well. Actually, fun fact about the Voxne, I played with him in solo queue when he had like a hidden account name, and I was 100% sure this guy was LSC level. He was playing super well, and I'm so excited to see this guy today. I am kind of 100% sure he's going to pop off, but once again, it's super hard to predict because, as you mentioned, on the other side, we have DiamondProx.
Okay, I was expecting you jumping into the DiamondProx.
Okay, no.
Yeah, no, you're going for the Kerberos. I love that. What about you?
Oh, wait, but I was going to talk about DiamondProx. I mean, like, we can talk about so many things on this, right? Because it is about, you know, a lot of us who have been on broadcast, stuff like that, we actually ended up playing a long time before we ended up getting onto the cast. Now, I started playing back in Season 4, very similar to that Sam was talking about. And the people that inspired us back then are still inspiring us now. So in rare cases, and this is one of those rare cases in DiamondProx. Now, if we bring it down to the analytics of, okay, well, that was a long time ago at this point. What's actually happening in the here and now? What's happening in this split? One of the big problems of Bifrost last split was the early laning didn't ever get it really was quite coin flippy as to whether they'd survive through to the excellent team fighting in mid and late game. When you had Shikari on something like a Camille or something that could go pop off later into the game, and he had a solid laning phase. And then also you had mid lane, you had Shuri doing well on something like an Ahri or a Veigar, which were his choice champions. That was great, but outside of them, it got really, really difficult to stabilize that team. I actually don't know if adding in a DiamondProx can help having solo lanes, which sometimes struggle in that early game, because he's also been quite a feast or famine jungler in the last couple of splits. This is going to be the kind of team which I feel like the chemistry is either going to make this explode into a top-tier roster or fail and kind of go into a mid-pack team.
And it's quite easy to talk about Bifrost. We saw a lot of them at EU Masters. They came in as play-ins. They got into quarterfinals. Hey, that's as far as we got. But now into Riddle. Obviously, you want to talk about Riddle, but what more can we expect from Riddle?
From Riddle, I was going to say that I think, honestly, actually, I used to scrim Jaxplank a lot this last split when I played on team. He was actually... obviously, he plays Jax, he plays Gangplank. It's kind of obvious.
Who could have
known? And that's the thing I said, are we going to see these champions banned? Or are they going to go through? And in that case, it's kind of similar to the MC kind of pick. It's kind of forcing him to pick those champs. But honestly, like whenever I feel like Jaxplank is actually one of those players who is kind of underrated. He's not that known, but I feel like he has the bot lane as well with Kevo and Nash. They're going to be really solid, I think, for their team. And just being able to play kind of Kevo is just known for kind of playing Jhin, Ezreal, kind of these weak side champions. And that is going to, I think, allow Jaxplank to kind of just do his own thing on the top side.
The difference is, you told us, like, if you want to main a champion, okay, get one better than Nidalee. That's your words, not mine, by the way. On Jaxplank, I mean, GP is kind of busted. We all know. When you have a champion that is good in the early game, you think about, okay, late game is not going to be good. If he's a scaling champion, his early game is going to be weak. Well, Gangplank excels at everything a champion has. So,
and then actually,
that one.
So that's obviously huge because MSI, again, very huge presence, and that's like the most relevant recent early tournament that we've had to this point. And then you've also got this Jax, which is one of the few counters to Gwen, and Gwen has been again, just a huge presence in all of our drafts. This is actually a really good meta for Jax. Like, you get 1 week of it, we'll see what happens afterwards. Let's see what happens when the new patch comes in. But also, again, they're a Greek national as well. So Trouble, I'm actually not sure if there are any anecdotes between them, because obviously Trouble was casting the Greek scene for a very long time in those.
I mean, she's Greek, so...
Yes, that does. I was trying to be eloquent about it, but either way, I mean, we do kind of go back to these more, I'm not going to say baseline points, but because we just don't know how they're going to perform as a unit. The last split of Riddle was one where it did feel like the story of that team was having lots of individual players occasionally popping off and very rarely doing it in tandem. They did that in the first round of playoffs. They got themselves that huge. Again, somehow knocking XL out of playoffs. They've done that 2 or 3 times over the NLC's history as an organization at this point. But we need to see what this new iteration is going to have. How many of those hallmarks are they going to carry with them? And what players are going to be the ones to really stand up being counted for? Because we just don't have that information yet.
Okay, talking about information, I would like to relate to all of you that we will have a slight delay in the Champion Select. So we have more time to talk about Riddle versus Bifrost. To me, this is even good. So it's not about typing on chat like, oh, start the game casters. It's not about that.
I've got the button here and I'm not pushing it.
Come on, Naimera. We talked about this. You are not allowed to provide that information to the viewer.
Well.
Okay, but now, Riddle. Okay, I heard something, but I don't know what it was.
Well, it's not me pressing the button, so it can't be the game starting.
Okay, Riddle versus Bifrost. So you think the focus should be on the top line?
I think so, for sure. At least for Riddle, right? When I look at Bifrost, OD, I mean, obviously Bifrost had like such a good split last time around, but as you mentioned, the early game might be their kind of weakest side. And honestly, I think when you're just looking at the roster, I think Shikari can play both weak side and strong side, and I feel like they just have kind of they have just a solid, like, all-around roster. But as you mentioned, it's all about DiamondProx. Even if DiamondProx is a legendary player in history, he's coming from the LCL now. We cannot just treat him as if he's gonna pop off instantly, right? It's a new league, it's a new team, and he has to adapt as every other player. So it's gonna be about the jungle, about the mid, I think, from Bifrost.
And that's really a lot of where this comes down to, because again, it's the trial period. We're waiting for, are these teams settled in? Do they have the right synergy? Has the jungler connected with their lanes? I think arguably that was one of the issues that Bifrost had with C-Boy last split. Sometimes, I mean, if you go back to watch it would have been the finals, game 1, where he locks in a volley bear and kind of coin flips an early crab play, loses it, game's kind of over from that point. If it works out, that's great. But sometimes you want to play around more of that synergy rather than just individual, very high-risk plays. I really want to see what the philosophy of this team is. Sometimes with a unique chemistry, you can see players kind of diverging from a style that they once showed. I do think that Bifrost could fill more of that C-Boy kind of role of kind of just being very aggressive early game, trying to just make something happen in a volatile fashion, but we just don't know how that interacts with the lanes yet.
Can I do my hot take?
Do your hot take.
Can I do it? Okay. When I saw Bifrost at EU Masters, I always thought, okay, they have to get a jungler that is aggressive, with a lot of experience. Like,
if they're going to replace him, yeah.
Yeah, C-Boy has to step up. And he did step up at EU Masters. Let's be honest, he did step up at EU Masters. He did an amazing job. But now you have DiamondProx that is not only a beast in terms of counter jungle and all that, but he also has a tremendous amount of experience. And to this team, I do believe this is exactly what they needed. Someone with the experience that even if you fall behind, you can give them, okay, what do we need to come back into the game? If you have someone with this sort of and this amount of experience, and Bifrost were as strong as they were in the previous split, isn't this the strongest Bifrost we could have ever had? The Exodia Bifrost?
We already had, we already had that road to glory. Is that just like one part of the forbidden one? Are we just going to start stacking up other like Bifrost monster cards on the table? Okay, either way, right? But like Bifrost, out of last split, they did incredibly well for the roster that they had on paper, right? I think that getting to that quarterfinals in EU Masters, given that they're a play-ins team, honestly, their play-ins group was quite difficult. They battled through a number of high-profile teams. They beat out Barca. They beat out BDS Academy. They ended up falling, of course, to a Go Rogue in that quarterfinals. But this was a team that seriously packed a punch beyond what I think actually which I predicted. Now, to see potentially upgrading there, that is actually terrifying in another sense. But I mean, so many teams now are angling towards that top table. This does feel like with so much change, I don't think we're going to see the same top 3 as solidified as they were last split.
Okay, I got the information that we can jump into Champion Select. Oh, thank you, Naimera. So we pushed the button so we can finally advance into Champion Select between Riddle and Bifrost. So, don't go anywhere. Here we go. Instantly, experience versus the return. Bifrost versus Riddle. Although they have some little changes on the top, and I know production is going to fix that really, really fast. It's Bifrost on the left alongside
That's what
Riddle
happens when there's a problem with the logos. They put like the red warning lights on the on the studio. But I mean, this is already quite a different like set of priorities. Now it's actually going to be okay, I'm just looking at the order of people lined up.
It's really messed up, in the mid, Rudolph in top.
Now, but Gangplank's still being banned away. You know what? I'm going to take a while to collect my thoughts, I am, in a very collected manner.
Take your time, take a breather. I'm going to say I'm quite surprised about the Diana ban. I haven't seen that quite some time, but I do know that. I mean, obviously the Diana Yasuo combo could be up in for grabs, but now this is the first time I see actually all 3 bans are being kind of predictable. The Wukong, the Taliyah, the Lucian, and that's just, as you mentioned, gives the Gwen open. And honestly, I'm kind of freaked out about the order as well, so I'm not sure we see Jax Blank there, but both of these champions are now banned. What's he gonna do?
Well, the thing is, right, I think the Diana ban makes sense if you take that into account. I think actually if it's more of a top lane player playing in the mid lane, maybe there's more AD champions, and then you combine that, obviously Diana with AD mid laners has become a real threat over the last couple of years of competitive play. Problem is, if you talk about the last couple of years of competitive play, Gwen's probably up there at the top of the list. That gets let through. You don't have that Jax as that choice counter, which we've seen across a lot of different tournaments. And now you're going to have to leave yourself kind of like picking at scraps for how do you deal with that champion, which Sakari has been so destructive on this year.
Okay, another thing, Jax Blank doesn't only play those champions. He likes to play on your face, so he can bring something different. You have now the Ziggs. If the Ziggs gets locked in for the bot lane from Riddle, I do believe it's going to be for the bot lane, you allow something AD and massive into the top lane because you already have the clear on the bot side.
Yeah, it just... I'm kind of surprised to see Ziggs picked this early, because now it kind of, I would say it forces kind of Riddle to pick support on 3, because with Ziggs, you don't want to pair it with just any support. I think Nautilus for sure is the best one. You just kind of get the clear C, you have the ulti to finish things off, but I'm not sure what other picks.
Oh boy, I see your face.
DiamondProx Lee Sin though. Oh, this is the bait. This is bait.
Oh, man. This is not bait. This is respect. Oh, where is he going?
Sam has...
Oh, it's a diamond.
Diamond not in the row.
Okay,
Fury's just trying to get themselves some bonus points for this, and you know what? It's working, damn you.
It is.
The thing about this Lee Sin that's been locked in for DiamondProx is that this is one of the greatest players of all time on this champion. And again, it's been a while since he's really been at world-beating levels, but this player defined how to play certain styles of play on this champion. And now, when you've got Lee Sin, LeBlanc, and a Gwen on top side, this is top side, we're going to use that word again, it's the top side Exodia. You've put together all these pieces of how the heck do you deal with this amount of damage and kill threat and skirmishing potential around those 3 people.
And that's the thing, right? Riddle are forced to match this top side as well, because they have the 6 in the bottom lane. It's not that easy to play through, and they have now to pick the Renekton, which I'm not sure is...
Yeah.
It's interesting, right? But as you mentioned, Bifrost has a super clear and solid plan, play towards the top side. But Riddle are forced to match it.
With all the champions that they could have locked in, that was one of them.
Yep. That's
all I've got to say on that champion.
Good analysis, I would say. 150 champions they could have picked, and they picked that one.
That was one of the remaining ones on the list.
But now, just as MTest was telling us, now they're forced to play for the top side. And do you really want to face off a DiamondProx Lee Sin alongside with Shikari on the Gwen? If you allow Gwen any sort of advantage in a lane, Renekton falling behind early and giving advantage to Gwen, GG.
Yeah, and also you look at like Ziggs, he's meant to be zone controlling. The Hallowed Mist just denies that. Gwen's going to run through your minefields, going to get on top of your backline fairly quickly. Actually, a lot of what you bring with that champion is going to be nullified in the grander scheme of things when it comes to the group play. Also, if you're going to play towards top side, a lot of the time you're thinking about picking lanes which want to survive. Ziggs isn't great at punishing those lanes. I'm not saying this is the best case scenario for Bifrost, because actually if you leave Ziggs alone in a lane which you don't punish him, he takes towers incredibly quickly. Also, Renekton is incredibly good at securing heralds, because he's very good at that area of the game. Ziggs and a herald, if you manage to get that, because I don't like the Renekton outside of that, but if Renekton secures you a herald and gives that to a Ziggs, slim early game win conditions from Riddle already. It's just how Bifrost deal with that Ziggs lane outside of that.
And that's the thing, right? You mentioned the Renekton. Yeah, it has to go through, has to smash the early game into the Gwen, who's just not going to be as strong in the early lane phase, right? And if you can, as you mentioned, secure the Herald, get that to 6, snowball the game from there, and then just play the tower game, you can make this work as Riddle. But once again, it's super scary for Bifrost, who are now hovering. Kai'Sa, they're just gonna go for full all diving comp. But the Vlad pick as well, I'm super excited actually.
This is such a strange
It is.
Like, I think, like, once you see the Gwen locked in, I appreciate Riddle just saying, look, let's just do something a little different. Let's try and work around that Gwen. We don't have our choice counters, but this is getting very off the wall at this point. We were wondering a little bit about what was going to happen in terms of the answer to the Ziggs. You're going to play away from it. Actually, with that amount of power in topside, sometimes, ironically, that can end up isolating a bot side anyway, because Riddle now have to answer towards whatever the hell's happening on topside. So if you leave in a 2v2 isolated kill lane, Tristana and Nautilus, when everyone's having fun topside, actually bot lane isn't safe for the Ziggs either now.
Yeah, and the thing, that's the thing, what are you going to pick with the Ziggs? Are you going to pick the Leona and try to match the kill? But this, I like Renata in general, right? It's such a good champion, but into this, as you mentioned, it's probably going to be a 2v2 isolated bot matchup, and that means that OD and Highway can play however aggressive they want.
I like Nash. Okay, I gotta point it out.
We're reducing him into the league well.
Yeah, he adapted to the league. Yeah, welcome to the league, mate. Welcome to the league. But now, okay, I was thinking about it. You need some sort of disengage. You need to protect yourself because every member of Bifrost is like, how do we go win? Yes. And now they have some sort of playability.
Yeah, no, you jump into the Renata role, you're not having a good time. Again, Gwen really throws that for a loop because your ult doesn't even go through that hallowed mist. I feel like Shikari is in a prime position to 1v9 this game. I feel like this Gwen, in the current level of power, is just so hard to deal with. I get that Riddle were looking for ways to deal with that Gwen with an unorthodox craft. I don't think they've hit that mark.
Okay, final takes. Who's going to win?
I mean, I just have to say that Bifrost is going to pick this one home. They don't have enough CC to cover for the Gwen, as you mentioned, and I think if Gwen just gets this safe lane in face, she's going to pop off.
I'm not even going to ask you because I know the answer is going to be Bifrost for you. So let's see what's going to happen on this third game of the day. Day 1, week 1 of Super Split for the Northern League of Legends Championship. So without further ado, initialize. Tell me, how are you feeling?
It's going to be troubling this time. It's not going to be initialized because I have concrete evidence right here that the caster desk is completely and utterly biased. What is this?
That, it's hearsay, Your Honor.
I can't. Like, you're biased.
It's not my handwriting. It's not me. Definitely not. I would never do something like that.
That's
no, I
definitely
am
not
not
my handwriting.
entirely excited.
I saw you drawing the diamond in the green room.
Yeah, all right, okay. I confess, I am very
Just say
excited.
you're guilty and own up to it.
I'm guilty, and I'm not ashamed. I am so excited to be casting DiamondProx, who, full disclosure, was the player that got me into League of Legends in the first place many, many years ago.
You also play Needle Jungle?
He did. He was the guy who...
you?
I do indeed.
Because
play
of
jungle.
him.
Indeed. It's the reason I play Evelyn. Is that before, of course, the reworks came in, DiamondProx was arguably the best Evelyn player in the world at some points. He was really, really extraordinary on that champion before, of course, became a very different champion over the years. Ray, though, is stepping in here. We've got a bit of an unusual situation for Riddle, I think it is fair to say. A lot of subs coming in from the sounds of it, according to production. Some weird stuff, of course. This whole roster has changed up anyway over the off-season after a very successful playoffs run where they knocked XL out in the first round of Robin of that playoffs, or first round of playoffs. There we go, better phrasing. They've changed everything. Bifrost, on the other hand, this is an EU Masters quarterfinalists team that did an extraordinary job towards particularly the latter half of the regular season of really proving they were a top team in the league. They've switched out C-Boy, they've switched out Dual. They brought in a legend like DiamondProx. I am extremely excited to see what he can do for this roster.
And arguably, they had a pretty good run in EU Masters as well, reaching that quarterfinals. I think they completely exceeded expectations. Not everybody expected, again, the NLC to push 2 seeds straight out of the group stage. And also Bifrost was in the group of death, and no one expected them to get out of the groups, right? But right now, I agree with you. I felt like a little bit of a sore spot sometimes was that jungle for Bifrost, especially in the early game. Pathing was the name of the game for C-Boys. Sometimes it was a little bit too forced or a little bit too predictable. Now they have the god of pathing, the guy who created pathing, if you will, the guy who will invade you and play in your face. And what better champion to do this on other than the Lee Sin? Now my question goes over to Riddle, right? Because you mentioned it, brand new roster, but we also have subs jumping in for this particular game. Jax Blank is a top laner. Right now, Riddle are playing with their sub-top laner in the top lane, Rudolph, and Jax Blank, who's meant to be their main top laner in the mid lane on a bruiser, of course, right? Such as their Renekton. So we shouldn't necessarily have too many troubles where it comes to, people have swapped lanes and playing champions they're not very used to because,
a lot of damage. That's a level 2 coming through. That's going to flash away. The bomb's not going to be quite enough, but that is the flash and the exhaust down just for the ignite of Highway.
I was just about to hit on how dangerous it is if Riddle's composition falls behind, especially since everything on the side of Bifrost is we're going all in, and they are.
They're going to go straight in. Diamond's in with the Warthog, but he's going to get first blood. The legend, the veteran, the oldest and most prominent jungler of all time gets himself a first blood.
Please
Is it
tell
hyperbolic?
me-
Hell yes.
Please
I'm
tell
so excited.
me how long have you waited to say DiamondProx gets first blood?
Pretty much since, so the first game of competitive League of Legends I ever remember watching was, I believe, IEM Katowice between KT Bullets with Ryu, you know, the guy who died to Faker, that roster, and Score and the likes, versus Gambit Gaming, Alexis, DiamondProx, Genja, Edward, Darian. That team was the one that got me into League of Legends. I am a little bit shell-shocked in some ways to be casting the guy who gets first blood. Am I a little biased? Am I a little excited? Hell yes. I ain't apologizing today.
All right. Now I'm going to reel you back into the real.
Bring me back.
To the goodness. Obviously, we talked about the Riddle lineup a little bit, but the thing is, I do understand and I do kind of like the Renekton in the mid lane because it will work more as a neutralizer, the same way as Viego works, right? Viego is not particularly insanely good into any jungler, but he's not bad into any jungler either. It's pretty much a skill matchup. He will be able to survive, he'll be able to get away, he's very slippery, and he'll be able to farm his way through the late game, where hopefully he will be able to get a bunch of resets and try to snowball the team fights forward. Now, why I really do like the Renekton right here is because LeBlanc is just not allowed to very easily dive into the Renekton, but since Jaxman was pushed that far forward, no vision, DiamondProx was around, Jaxman was very easily punished right there.
Yeah.
And obviously, you see a lot of the times the differences between mid lanes and top lanes, sort of swapping around the lanes mid-game. But this is like a situation where Jaxblanc is a top laner, he's playing in the mid lane, much shorter lane, tries to shove in his wave, gets instantly punished.
Does indeed. And, you know, got to call it out as well. Stefan, this guy on the Viego we talked about, you know, on a jungler that's relatively hard to truly counter in the jungle. He was on X7 last year as part of their, or last split, as part of their coaching staff, indeed.
More interesting history about Stefan.
Do tell.
He used to be part of the legendary Click Tech back in the day that was supposed to make a insane run at EU Masters, and they did make a pretty deep run for themselves, and he was part of that lineup. He was a jungler back then. So if you want to talk about history, both him and DiamondProx have a really deep one. Stefan's, though, stays a little bit more concluded to the Balkans.
In so many other matchups in the RL, Stefan's history would be pretty much guaranteed to be slightly longer, slightly more extraordinary. And you look at the other side, like DiamondProx, as a reminder, is the guy who invented counter jungling. And thus far early on, the early shove, the early aggression has got them an early lead. It's going to get them an early dragon. And that is what you like to see out of Bifrost, whose early games were a little bit suspect. And thus far, yes, they've drafted towards it. Yes, it's into some pretty awkward like player situations for Riddle, but thus far, thus good for Bifrost coming off that EU Masters and changing things up, hopefully to improve their early game.
Thing is, I really do not mind the fact that you've got this Riddle composition, because it's a very we kite backwards composition. You've got the Ziggs, who wants to play all the way far back. Renata is incredible at teams that want to dive into you, especially with her ultimate and the handshake. You've got Viego, who also wants to be dived in to try to get the resets far back in the line, and also Vladimir, who has so many ways to put down the damage and then pull himself to get out of sticky situations. So it's a great peel of composition. My only question mark and scratch on the head is Jaxblanc onto that Renekton in the mid lane, because does this not snowball very hard in the early game? What does the Renekton, what is his role later on? Is he just going to be a big crocodile that's going to be sitting around the Ziggs and peeling, because that's the only use I see for him?
Well, the way it's going so far is that a serrated Dirk first, suggesting Prowler's Claws was something that Showmaker was doing when he was picking the Renekton mid. So trying to just say, I will jump on you and I will blow you up even if I go 1-for-1.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, if you look on the side of Bifrost, they do have a bunch of squishy members, right? The LeBlanc diving in, the Tristana diving in. If you slice and dice, stun them into place, you can very easily also try to assassinate them together with the Viego, possibly a bomb crashing down from the Ziggs as well. It's going to be not an easy task, but maybe a doable task. Now, at this point, if you look all across the board, everyone's farming pretty evenly. Of course, the bot lane is going to be slightly ahead, and Jaxblanc level 7, he has his flash, he has his ultimate available, but they have no wave. So this is a little bit of a miscommunication from the side of Riddle. Jaxblanc is going to cut the wave off.
I guess that's one way to reveal you're there. I don't quite know what they get from that, but he's now resetting, and Odie and Highway are pretty happy to say, oh, well, thank you for trimming our minions slightly, question mark.
Usually, when you do that, you want your mid lane to have already reset and be in the mid lane to not only take the wave, but because you also have the support roaming with you, So you have to already be in the lane, shoving in the wave, and then you allow the support to come through mid lane to potentially pull a gank. Now you see that both Renata and Renekton are on the map at the exact same time, whilst LeBlanc has the time to move forward, pushing the wave, and now you see Highway onto the Nautilus, following through the top quadrant of DiamondProx's jungle to try and contest for that Rift Herald.
Yeah, Fury and, of course, DiamondProx both at level 6. It's a pretty deadly point of power for the Lee Sin and the LeBlanc, and they're going to try and wield it here at this Herald fight. But, of course, Jax Plank on the Renekton. You heard Nymera talk about it on the desk. An incredible point of power for the Renekton. Has the dominance available. Rudolph ghosting in. That's a massive amount of damage. 1 kill already onto Riddle. The Hemo Plague is down, but Shikari has popped the ghost. Over the wall goes Diamond. They've burnt quite a lot. Going to get onto the Lee Sin, who flashes away. Stefan can't quite secure another kill, though, but it will get the kill, and maybe they can back off towards this Herald. Renekton Herald fight, won and secured by Riddle.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You walk a little bit too far forward on a level 5 Nautilus without flash available, you are going to go down, and this skill is also going to go towards that Vladimir. Ray?
Takes a lot of damage. Fury's coming forwards. There is the use of the statue. Fury takes a massive chunk, though it has to go back, and they can't secure that kill. Jax Plank does his best to ward off the attempted catch onto the Ziggs, and little more's going to come out of it. There's the Herald going down towards Riddle and Stefan, and they will feel pretty happy about it. We'll get a little replay to see how this one all turned out.
This replay again, level 5 onto Highway, and we'll see that also... You know what? I'll give you the recap.
Exactly. Well, what happened was there was a lot of damage that went down into a very squishy Nautilus who died in horrible fashion. End of replay.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Initialize. I appreciate that.
Brief.
Now, what does that do for the map is that we expected a little bit more of acceleration. There you go. I was trying to find the word. I can't English today. We were looking for a little bit more of acceleration when it comes to having the Renekton in the mid lane. And now having the Herald, you can see that the second LeBlanc backs off. You can possibly put down your Rift Herald, accelerate your Renekton a little bit more. On that one item, he does become a terror. You mentioned the Dirk, possibly a Prowler's Claw, reaching the backline, blowing someone up. You're seeing right now that if Fury does face check or W into Jax Plank's Renekton, he does take a lot of hurt back. So they're going to have to rely heavily on trying to skirmish around the Renekton, catching people off guard, and then forcing Bifrost away once they only have 4 members on them. Because in that particular replay that was not shown, the fact that Nautilus dies first and Viego is able to take Nautilus's form, it becomes very, very dangerous because you have that much more CC to re-engage a fight.
Indeed. What I'll say, though, of course, is with the Renekton going towards a squishier build, does take damage from the likes of Elise and LeBlanc, a bit more than they would otherwise. So there are some trade-offs as a result. Second Dragon is up. Bifrost secured the first one nice and early, and now at this just sub 11-minute mark, we'll have a second one coming through, and RNG over MSI were really prioritizing Dragons a lot like this and did so to great success. So we've seen the strategy work, but in come Riddle, they want to fight this. It will be a 3v3. Odie over the wall will do so. Highway flashes, DiamondProx will ward hop to him. So flash down, but Dragon secured.
Yeah, Dragon secured, and as you saw, we mentioned how important it is to have the Renekton in these Dragon fights, but Fury made sure that he zones away Jaxman from even trying to walk into this river from a choke point. So job done for Bifrost. They secure the second Dragon of the game, trying to stack them up towards that soul point, and then this is going to force Riddle to actually want to fight them, no matter if they do have their items available, have the levels that they need or not.
Yeah, Jax Plank taking a bit of a trade there, but does have the... I can do this. The Rage, there we go, to come and heal himself back up. Took me a second there. Apparently I can't English today either. But of course, DiamondProx did miss out on that Sonic Wave to try and get onto a minion for a taxi forward. And so, a little more to be found there. First item completed by Rudolph. Thank you for pointing that one out as well. Trouble, who has been farming up pretty well into the ranged v melee matchup in that top side. Of course, got the kill in the Herald fight as well. So feeling very happy with themselves right now. Ghost Ignite is the summoner spell choice as well. So really playing forwards that lane as Jax Plank has to pop the Dominus. That is not what you want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fury has actually been bullying around Jax Plank's Renekton from the get-go when they actually got that first kill in the mid lane onto DiamondProx. Fury has been trying to be a nuisance towards the Renekton, not allowing him to accelerate forward. And right now, Riddle are on a 3v4.
And it's a 3v4. Here comes that attempt with the ultimate for Ronaldo. It's not going to be enough. Nash flashing away. A hop forward again from Odie. Won't get him with the Buster Shot. And he survives. He knocks them all away to safety.
Odie, you're not playing for Riddle, mate. You're playing for Bifrost.
Oh, that's so frustrating. It looked like such a good moment for Bifrost, and they can't quite secure it. Of course, Nash did have the use of the bailout on top, and now Highway stepped too far forward. He's going to get pulled back, needs to find something towards him. Will now die. Stefan's going to pick up that soul. Misses the hook, though, over the wall, and it's a kill back to Odie, who kind of recovers from the early mistake. It's a 1-for-1, all things said and done, but Stefan very, very low, and Odie could maybe look for something more. Herald comes down because there's not a lot of time left. It'll be summoned, but it's a long way back in the lane.
Yeah, now they have to force the Herald, and I don't think Raya can actually walk up to a Tristana to try and go for the turret platings. DiamondProx is also on his way down the bottom of the map to make sure that Ziggs does not get anything. And not only are they not going to get turret platings, they're not even going to get gold onto Stefan the jungler, and everything somehow went wrong. Everybody's still on the bot side of the map, whether there's an objective or not. Yes, they will catch Highway onto that Nautilus, and it gets really sticky, right? It's a level 9 Viego. He's very, very strong. He will get the Nautilus, but then he misses the hook onto everyone, and he brings the bomb back onto Nash through the wall and ends up killing his teammate with that Tristana bomb onto himself. Now you see a little bit how difficult this becomes to trying to get the Renekton into the fight. Fury has been an absolute nuisance. He does not allow Jax Blanc to leave the mid lane, which means that Riddle are always playing with a man disadvantage.
Indeed, they are. And of course, don't get me wrong, this is Jax Blanc who is having to play off-role here in the mid lane. He's playing a champion which you can punish if you play this matchup right with the chains and the damage discrepancy here. Yes, the Prowler's Claw is complete, but it's still a squishier build. And thus far, Fury playing it pretty well, considering as well that we have had some concerns about his laning at points. This is a pretty good showing. He's playing it right here, despite those kind of additional advantages going his way.
I'm just so happy to see that this particular season, I don't know if it's the change of pace, maybe in the jungle, having the Lee Sin onto DiamondProx.
Oh boy,
Ray
he's
is
dead.
going to get blown up right there. But as I was saying, I think maybe the mid-jungle duo synergy or dynamic has completely changed because Fury was so good onto the Assassins, on the Celestis, on the Akalis, on the LeBlancs, but wasn't necessarily getting them last split when the Victors and all those control mates were a little bit more prominent. But right now, maybe again, with a change of pace in the jungle, having a new member coming in, being able to complement DiamondProx on his picks, the LeBlanc is coming in, and you see how Fury is actually showing up.
It'll be first tower to Odie's. He'll tank a couple tower shots, but it is gone. Jax Blanc in the mid lane gets the dominance, trying to turn it back around with that use of the Prowler's Claw. A hop away from the attempt. DiamondProx going in, looking for the kick. Can't quite secure the kill, though. He's been exhausted. Now the turnaround from Stefan. It's not going to land with a flash used by Diamond. That exhaust was critical to keep the Renekton alive. Now Odie hopping in onto that lone Ziggs. Not going to quite get the kill. The Penguin explosive will junk him up to about half, though. And going to come with a Mega Inferno Bond, and Stefan's hunting down. Out comes that harrowed path. Odie going to try and run away best he can. Has got the flash. Will need to use it. Just about available. Not quite. Flash away. There it is. Going to come through with the Heartbreaker, but the turnaround now for Stefan, who's going to get jumped on. Heartbreaking away. In comes Fury. They've got the depth. Charge knocks him up. Fury going to try and knock him down. Chain's going to land. He's rooted in place, but they don't have the burst. And he gets out alive.
And again, you see the versatility on this jungler. I just love watching Viego in general play the game. He's so slippery, but he can also catch you. And once he gets one reset, he can take your champion and create so many different plays. But
so much damage coming down the chain to that flash is not enough. Can't quite get the kill, but he's going to get the distort. Nothing to be done, and the Ziggs dies again. Fury gets his first kill of the game.
Yeah, Rayo on a very immobile carry. He has been overstepping and overextending on the bot side of the map quite a bit. They do not have the wards to cover for the Ziggs. Therefore, if you don't have somebody shadowing you, you cannot push forward knowing that the LeBlanc is around, and Fury is just going to cash in one for himself right there. And this is starting to get a little bit problematic.
A lot of damage coming through. He's not quite got dominance up yet. That means there's a lot of explosive damage coming through. And Odie secures the third of the game.
Wow. Okay, Bifrost are starting to put a different gear, it seems. They started a little bit slow in the early game, but now their carries are starting to pick up. 3 and 1 onto that
Odie needs to be careful.
And Odie
will miss the Spectral more, though. Stefan can't do that. Takes a lot of damage back in trade. That's an unfortunate miss. Can't quite get the read. And with the second Herald now available, Bifrost will look towards it. They've also secured themselves Soul Point sub 17 minutes into the game. 4 minutes until Soul's available for them. So yes, the gold is still relatively even, but the objective control is scary, and the gold is in some uncomfortable places for Riddle. 3 kills onto a scaling Tristana. That's rough to see.
And again, I just really want to commend Fury right here. Whenever there is a play in the river, whether that's for the Dragon, whether that's for kills, whether there's a gank, whether it's DiamondProx trying to invade to get some information to the jungle, whether it's doing the Rift Trail, Fury zones people away from Riddle all of the time. I think he has been so pivotal in the success of playing towards the bot side of the map for Bifrost, because he does not allow anyone to leave lane. Whoever steps mid lane, that was 2 even people from middle right there that were not able to walk into the river to even try and contest or even get any vision. And right now, with these pink wards going down, Riddle do not have much terrain to play with. They need to play underneath the towers, or if they don't, they need to have somebody shadowing them like Stefan is doing right here for Jaxplank, trying to crash in the wave under tower.
And for me, for Riddle, eyes are on Stefan, who has managed to get themselves a significant lead on this Viego. Couple kills, big CS discrepancy. Yes, that's partly been traded for objectives. Yes, that's been partly traded for shadowing, but you have got this guy who's got some history, who's coming in and is supposed to be this starting jungler to replace a guy like MC as well. Thus far, though, so good. Needs to try and convert this as this Herald is here, and Rudolph not in the best position. Sonic Wave lands, but there's still a Sanguine pool, so unlikely to be followed up on. They're just going to chunk this one out. Diamond kicks him into the wall. Loads of CC. He can't even use the pool. He's just gone.
Yeah, he should have used the pull. The second DiamondProx got anywhere near him. But as you can see, Rudolph is running the Ghost and not the Flash. So even when he came out of the pool, they would be able to catch up to him because you have the Nautilus right there, a bunch of CC onto that Champion's kit as well. And I was literally just about to say, okay, we've seen what happens on the 4 versus 4 on the bot side. We've seen these 8 champions interact with each other. What happens when a Fed Gwen and a Fed Gangplank join the fray, as Rudolph is not allowed to press any keys on his keyboard in that particular tower dive? But yeah, what happens when Shikari joins with the Gwen? What happens when Vladimir joins from Rudolph? It's like going to be a bloodfest, but I feel like for Rudolph, you've got so much peeling and CC from the side of Bifrost, and immunity, of course, with the Gwen, that you're more than happy to allow him in, rather than who stops the Gwen when she goes in?
I mean, right? I mean, it turns out Bifrost are a bit of a cover band here, loving Fleetwood Mac, because you can never break the chain CC.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Can I give him, I hope this clapping.
You're welcome, everybody who had to listen to that. I'm, again, not apologizing.
In the chat, please.
I'm getting replaced for the next game, apparently.
Oh, production just...
Oh, I'm in trouble.
Quite literally.
Indeed. A minute or so until the next dragon spawn that would be sold for Bifrost, and they're in a very scary position. 2 items on Odie, nearly a Banshee's Veil for LeBlanc, which will allow her to hop forward with impunity. It's also into double mages, so it makes a lot of sense on that front. Herald will charge, won't quite secure the mid lane tower though, so it is pretty low, but not down.
Yeah, and as you can see, Riddle have to bundle up as 4 members because their 4v4 has not been going very well. But the thing is, at least right now, they can move into River because they see Fury showing up on the top wave of the map. So they know that even if he wants to join, he'll have to TP in. That gives them the confidence that they're 5 members versus 4, even versus 3 right now. But who replies to these side lanes? You mentioned it before, Bifrost have 3 dragons, and you don't care about this. It's a Cloud Drake anyway. You can get the soul whenever you want. But look at the side lane pressure. They're crashing the waves, both the LeBlanc and the Vladimir. And Riddle have to bundle up as 3 and 4, which means that the carries are sharing all the experience together.
And Rudolph as well, remember, he's gone for the Ghost Ignite. There is no extra teleport, so you can play both side lanes at once, especially with both teleports up. It's Shikari on Gwen, it's Fury on LeBlanc. They're very slippery characters. And as it stands, that full court press, that pressure on the map, is making life pretty difficult for Riddle, who have now teleported into this lane to make this a 5v5. And Bifrost decided they do want to fight for this. Drake chunk onto Nash before it all begins, and Odie chunks out Jaxplank as well. He can heal up a little bit because he's Renekton. Rudolph has popped the Sanguine Pool alongside the Hemo Plague. They're going to try and get some more. Jaxplank goes in. That's the Prowler's Claw, but he gets 1. Is he going to get any more? He needs to try and get another kill before he burns out. It'll be a 1-for-1 right now, but Odie is a big kill, a massive scalp to get on Highway. Going to try and hop out, hops over the wall. DiamondProx lands a Q, but I don't think he'll want to take it. I think it's going to be a 2-for-1, all things said and done. Riddle managed to come out ahead by getting getting a hold of the AD carry. The Prowler's Claw burst is just about enough.
And I just don't understand what Bifrost were trying to do coming into the river like this. You have Riddle, who have so many AoE ultimates, that they have the Ziggs to stop the choke points, to stop you from coming in. If you want to come through that choke point, you're actually going to have to take a lot of damage. I feel like Bifrost felt really confident taking this fight. They didn't care too much about the Dragon, they care more about the fight. But as you can see again, DiamondProx is on the side. He's in no way, shape or form to create the play behind the Riddle backline. He's keeping Stefan out, and once Ziggs is allowed to walk in, this becomes very problematic. DiamondProx is literally shoved onto the side by Reye, and once this Renekton and the Vladimir get into the fray, they completely destroy Bifrost, and I felt like that was a really nice fight taken by Riddle, making sure that they single out DiamondProx so he can't make a play on them. The second he tried to make a play on Ziggs, Reye knocks him away with the satchel. That was so well played by Riddle.
Massively so, and of course, credit over to Jaxplank as well, because Odie was not expecting that. He had the flash, he had the rocket jump, and he just could not get out. Gets 100 to 0'd in the blink of an eye, and you thought, honestly, big chunks come through, looked pretty good to begin with. Just wasn't enough, and credit to Riddle for at least keeping it competitive here. They get that dragon, and now they need to try and hold on to this mid lane tower, which was prepared nice and earlier. That explosive charge should do the work. Does indeed.
And also, really want to give props to Stefan, because he picks that Viego into the Lee Sin matchup. He's one whole level ahead, 3-0-1. He's always been at the correct side of the map to defend his side laners, to shadow them, to make sure they don't die. When it comes to teamfights, he's trying to get the most out of them, and so far, so well for the guy coming back in. He was coaching, and we had an interview with him last season. He said, my plan is not to coach, my plan is to play yet again. DiamondProx
Diamond gets the kick, but can they finish it up? They can't right now. It'll get a flash out of it and a teleport. So they'll take that as trade. Summoner advantage definitely going the way of Bifrost on that one. Flash off Ray, teleport off Jaxplank, and now they are down that critical TP.
It. That is so important. The fact that you take Jaxplank's teleport is so important, because what Bifrost did when the last dragon spawned is they put the two solo laners, both Shikara and the Gwen, and Fury into that LeBlanc
TP behind.
Side lanes. That's a LeBlanc coming in.
It's going to be pretty bold. He's going to get stunned in place, and that's just going to die, surely. Needs to get away, does so for now. Is alive, but there's a Mega Inferno Bond he does get away from, but now the turnaround can start to come through. Stefan won't be able to quite secure it. Shikari trading out with Rudolph on the side, and that teleport got quickly punished by Riddle.
I'm not sure if Fury had that Banshee before he landed, because I think he just bought it before the teleport, but that saved his life, because that was one less CC that landed on him onto that teleport. I thought that was a Gwen, and I'm like, if that's a Gwen, it's a great teleport. You're in their face, you can jump in, bubble, immunity,
all of that.
All great. But I see the Gwen TPing way after on the top of the map, and I'm like, wait, that is a LeBlanc TPing into 5 members. Surely you don't survive that. That last second Banshee purchase made sure that Fury comes out of this TP alive and remains on 0 deaths.
We'll call it out as well here that Odie has now hit 3 items. No Infinity Edge, but has got an LDR, has got the Phantom Dancer, 3-item AD carry for a Tristana that has been so potent more recently. Is pretty scary news. You've got 2 items on the LeBlanc, as you've called out. The Nashers is complete for Gwen, is now going towards a Null Magic Mantle as well, looking for a little bit of magic resist themselves to help in the side lanes. And that is going to become increasingly difficult for Bifrost. These side lanes aren't easy to find good matchups for.
Yeah, but at this point, you've taken both teleports out of both Bifrost solo laners, which means that you can actually now match the side lane pressure that Bifrost has been exerting the entire game without being worried of a play to happen on the other side of the map because of the teleport advantage. So Riddle now can choose to slow down the game. They can get some more gold onto their Ziggs. They can feed some more gold into their carries. Rudolph on this Vladimir has been doing exceptionally well, especially in the team fights. Has 2.5 items going towards that death cap, and this is completely. This is going to be extremely problematic. And Vladimir with 3 items diving into your backline, Odie onto that Tristana. He's not really fast with the R button. It's going to be huge for the side of Riddle.
Death cap in for Ray as well. That's a big one. You've seen the Maw of Malmortius complete for Jaxplank. They are ready and raring to go with a dragon fight coming up in under a minute as well. Soul fight number 2 on the cards.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that if Riddle chooses not to take the fight, they don't necessarily have to. Cloud Souls are not the type of souls that teams would usually, you know, want to 50-50 a game on, right? Because if you lose the fight right there, most likely the Baron is going to go down. It's going to be really difficult with the TPs coming back up of Bifrost and Barons throughout the entire map to deal with. Now Riddle, as you can see,
Stefan's going to be found. Will they be able to do much about it, though? They're going to try and jump him out. Can he be taken out? He's got a stopwatch still alive, though. That will not be the best use for hostile takeover. Shikari trying to stay alive, takes a lot of damage, goes down. Stefan on a rampage. That's not the best flank I have ever seen from Shikari, and he is punished accordingly.
That Renata ultimate was huge. Odi almost ends up killing Highway to the point where he has to pop his own heal to save his own
Nash, it's going to go straight down, surely, does do so. And that'll be Odi getting that one. Now it's a 4v4. Stefan's ult, remember, is down. There is no resets available, really, on that front. Ray needs to do a whistle work on the side. That's going to be a lot of damage. Does so much work. Will pop to the chains. Another kill. Diamond's getting stunned, though. Needs to get over the wall. Waiting on a W. Still in this bit. Odi hopping in as well. They're going in. Diamond taken out. Will now be secured by Stefan, who's going to hop forwards. And that was a very big overstay from Bifrost. Stefan unstoppable here. Doing a lot of work is Fury, though. And that, with the kill onto the jungler, might mean enough. That explosive charge will be enough to kill Jax Blank. And Odi at 5-2-2 is still an absolute terror on the Rift.
This game is absolutely delivering because we had Riddle gone for dead like Renekton. He's 1-4. What can he do? Early to mid-game champion. Early to mid-game is completely gone. This Tristana has 3 items. And honestly, this fight played out so much better than expected for Riddle because at the start, Stefan is trying to make a pick, but he only finds the Nautilus. All the CC is coming down. But mind what I said, all the CC has come down onto Stefan, who's now stopwatch. And once Shikari's trying to get into the fight, he gets absolutely blown away. Look on the bottom of the map. Odi almost kills Highway, his own support, to the point where he has to pop the heal. And DiamondProx with a beautiful kick to completely dissuade the entire situation. But I think right there, Riddle overreached just a little bit. They're going to lose their support. And with that, they're also going to lose the upcoming fight. Up to where they don't, because Viego exists in this game, and once he gets one reset, he will get another one and another one. I think Stefan has been such a pivotal member for this crew so far onto the Viego.
Here we go.
5-0-2, but can he steal Baron?
That's the massive Mega Inferno Bomb that comes through. Gets a bit of a chunk, but Fury on the back now trying to play Gatekeeper. They'll pull away from the Baron, though. Feeling like they've got enough out of it for now. That Dragon was secured by Riddle. Another soul fight that was at least prevented by Riddle there. Still in a pretty tricky position. Look at Odi's inventory. The moment Infinity Edge comes through, you feel it's going to get increasingly hard to deal with them. A stopwatch is an inventory for Shikari as well to make his life a bit more easy. Stefan has burnt his stopwatch as well, may take his life a little harder. Continuing to be a very interesting game here at the 30-minute mark.
And a lot of people will be scratching their head because they're like, that's a 5-2 Tristana, right? You mentioned it. Almost the Infinity Edge complete as well. Odi is gonna hurt like a truck. But you're playing into Viego, Vladimir, Renekton, and Renata. And you're a very short-range ADC because you want to jump in, assassinate somebody, jump back out, right? But these guys have so much HP bars. They've got an exhaust coming your way. You've got Renata coming your way who can easily turn you into your team. It is not easy for Odi to play these team fights on Tristana. Had he been on a Jinx or an Aphelios, a little bit more long range where he can hyper carry from that range, it would have been a difficult story. But so far, Odi has been trying to get into this fight and he's been getting completely denied by either Renata ultimates or a Renekton playing his face.
Worth keeping an eye here. You could become part of our show as well. Send us a picture of how you're watching the NLC. Use the hashtag NLC at home on Twitter and throw us out those beautiful selfies. We want to see how you're looking out there, especially when we've got a game like this on our hands. I'm looking forward to seeing some of what those at home have come up with.
So your beverage of choice as well?
Indeed, always a good choice. What is your beverage of choice?
Ooh, I like tea.
I should have known that, actually.
Yeah,
I have seen your tea collection.
You've
It's
seen
pretty
my
extensive.
collection, yeah.
It is an extensive tea collection. Full disclosure as well, Aishram went home to Portugal recently. He came back with a lot of tea for the whole crew. We got some beautiful stuffers. Teleport out of Jax Blank. But it's Rudolph! Oh my god, he takes so much damage before he flashes out and gets the kill! Man, myth, and absolute legend. The Black Rose blooming once more in the corpse of Rudolph.
Whoa, I think Rudolph tried to get out of his pool.
Jax Blank's going to pop the Dominus. Fury will distort away. Decent amount of damage back, but it's not a huge amount of work that use of the Hostile Taker actually got that time around. They were going to walk away with the kill and the man advantage, and maybe it's time for Baron once more. Yeah. Stefan's around, though. He's got Guardian Angel. He's going to be very tricky to deal with.
The thing is, no matter what, when Reye is around onto that Ziggs, when you've got enemy jungler with a flash and an ultimate available to get in the pit, you do not do this. I think the only reason Bifrost is sticking around is to allow Shikari more time on the bot side of the map to drag Jaxplank away. They know that the Renekton doesn't have the teleport available, so mission accomplished. They're taking bot lane tier 2 tower, and now can refresh, reset, grab more items, complete their own items, and walk straight for the soul.
Infinity Edge, as you said, on Odie. You've got the third item in for the likes of Shikari and Fury as well. The death cap's been in for Rudolph for a while, but it didn't seem to matter there. And I've also got to call out, Anathema's changed second for DiamondProx, who was very much going towards a supportive build, giving up a fair amount of farm, just saying, I need to be someone who's providing CC, not damage in this game.
I really wonder who that's on. I'm seeing it onto the Viego right now.
Okay, I can sort of see why when he's become increasingly difficult to deal with. If you need to kick him out, I can sort of get it. Jaxplank takes a chunk. Dragon Soul is finally secured. Now Jaxplank in so much danger, the Maw is popped. A lot of damage back, and now Bifrost hopping forward. Fury playing on the edge, hopping forwards and back with the distortions and the ethereal James. Diamond lands a Q, thinking about taking it forwards. Reye has to flash away from the depth charge. Shikari with the Hallowed Mist popped as well. Ultimates galore being burned by Riddle. And they will survive for now as Rudolph thinking about going forwards. There's the Hemo Plague. Can they follow up, though? It's not that easy. We'll land a massive Mega Inferno Bomb with the Hemo Plague turn. But now Odie is still untouched to so much damage. Stefan goes in the backside. He's going to go golden, though. Is Shikari trying to survive alive? Odie needs to get the kill, goes resurrecting. Will the soul survive? Will he be able to pick it up? That's the question. Diamond to the backside. Will now get the reset. Is Stefan. Diamond looking to try and get some more. Will not land the Q. It is a 1-for-1.
Nash, with the nerves of steel, holding on to his ultimate for the entire fight. And as you can see, Bifrost know that. When Renata is still holding ultimate, when you have Odie alive, you cannot risk your Tristana to move further in and actually kill a teammate. This is a 4-item Tristana, looking for Reye.
Ooh, can't quite make it happen. That's the flash down now. And look who else is around. It's still the rest of Riddle who were backing away.
So this flash?
I know, right? He used his flash. He was looking for that so hard. He's been able to get so many solo kills this game. It's not going to be enough there. Let's see this replay, because it looks pretty good initially.
And again,
the turnaround's pretty okay.
So well played by Riddle. They all open up for Reye to flash straight through behind them without knocking anyone else up. There is still Renata ultimate coming up, and Rudolph takes the charge. The huge bomb dropping in from Ziggs as well, popping at the same time as Rudolph's ultimate almost takes out Highway. And look at Stefan, he's lurking on the side. Both Shikari and Highway so low HP. They'll take his GA, and the second he's popped out of the GA, he will take the soul as well for that extra healing. And all of this time, Reye, again, he's keeping DiamondProx out of the fight every single time.
Does indeed, but of course now that Guardian Angel has popped, that could prove a little bit awkward for Stefan. Gets away with it this time, but will he the next time? Zonya's nearly back up for Shikari. We've got a third item in for Jaxplank, that death stance, maybe to try and provide a little bit of survivability. Nash going to try and do their best as going to see a recall out of Jaxplank, who's been chunked out off screen as well. Now Reye is spotted out, needs to be a little bit afraid. Diamond's over the wall, going to land the Sonic Wave. Will follow it up with the resonating strike, kick back into Nash, who's gone, dead, deleted. Renata will have to sell her company away because she is dead to rights.
And that is your only problem. Odie cannot jump in when hostile takeover is a thing, because he can kill his teammates. Now that Renata is no longer a problem, they can actually push their advantage through bot lane. Shikari has been building a wave, mid lane has been building a wave. They can actually get away with bot lane inhibitor tower and mid lane inhibitor tower.
Ari has got the Hallowed Mist, trying to heal this one up best they can, but it's taken so very, very low. In comes Diamond. The turnaround is there. Out of the ultimate as well. Will burn down to the Leandri, so it's a 1-for-1. But remember, you've still got Renata dead. Can Stefan, Rudolph, and Reye hold on? They'll lose an inhibitor, but it won't be the game. Fury, though, looking for more, misses the chains.
Oh, and that is so crucial, right? Because somebody will have to be on the bot side of the map to defend through all of these super minions that will start running into Riddle's base. Whilst on the other side of the map, there is the biggest objective on the map right now, which is going to be that Baron. Bifrost are really looking for that Baron because they can play the 1-3-1, they can play the 4-1, they've got extremely strong solo laners, and they can actually use them. Fury right here is really looking for Nash. Renata has been a problem. If you dispatch of her...
Fury gets Nash again! They found the target. It's twice in a row now. Once was a flash kick from DiamondProx. The next one is the LeBlanc from Fury, who's come back from EU Masters and is playing with a vengeance.
Fury's always looking on the side. Again, the Renata has been a thorn on their backs, but also Fury has not allowed Riddle to play the game however they want to. Bifrost as 5, they want the Nasher, but first they want to kill some more Riddle players.
They're going to two-man the Baron while Highway, Shikari and Fury show it is a one-way road. It'll be Bifrost's way or the Highway will surely secure it with a smite. I appreciate the attempt, but it will not happen. Bifrost get the Baron. They have the soul. It's a minute and a half till Elder. And right now, with a fully itemized Tristana at level 18, you can feel the difficulties Riddle are having right now.
Yeah, and I think huge props to Fury this game so far. 5-0-5 has been zoning away members from Riddle in these big fights and these big skirmishes, zoning them away from getting into this river. Rudolph now.
He's going to get chunked out. There's still another proc of that ultimate available, and Shikari snips them down to size. Massive killer medley, only going to keep hopping forward, and the scaling is just too much. There is nothing more to be done. Sephra can go deathless if he likes. He's still just not going to be able to turn this one around. In comes the wave. Jax Black throws down the Dominus, but it is a last gasp, a last breath, a last attempt to try and save this game. Diamond will get a kick, but little more. Knock up onto Jax Plank, who will fall down. Those planks are building a coffin. He dies for the 7th time this game. Try roll swapping on us. It just won't work. Bifrost come back from EU Masters. They'll switch up some players, and they'll find their first win here in the summer split of the NLC.
Bifrost coming in with a win over Riddle. I'm gonna say, wasn't the cleanest, but due to the fact, again, that we've seen 2 players completely swapped around. Duel, who was their support, was a pivotal factor of how they played together with C-Boy. Now, DiamondProx and Highway have to find a way to play with each other as well, but I felt like Fury together with DiamondProx played so well together. I think the style and the dynamic between them, allowing Fury to play those assassins in the mid lane, I think it was huge.
Really call it out though, Stefan made them work for it. That Viego was becoming increasingly difficult to deal with, so Riddle at least did not go down without a fight, even if the objectives got a bit dicey in that early game. Either way, Bifrost come out with the win. We have to throw it to the analyst desk. Take it away, guys.
Thank you so much and welcome back to the desk. And this was another game Bifrost get to late game. You were saying that in the green room. We all talked about that. We have a lot to digest in this game.
Yeah, somehow it's another Bifrost game that just randomly goes late game. They love to win by giving you a heart attack first. It's just something that they've done. Anyone that watched their EU Masters run and then came back to watch their region because of it, welcome to their home turf. They're doing it again, and it just continues in that style.
And it was a mess. Let's be honest, it could be cleaner. They had soul, they had everything. But let's look into the early game. Shikari on the Gwen versus Vladimir. It just wasn't working.
Honestly, I'm just super surprised and impressed by the fact that Riddle kind of they were forced to come in with a sub, and this guy, I actually checked his LoL pros in the green room, and I think he peaked like master 20 LP or something, but he was kind of dumpstering Shikari in lane, honestly. Like he was 30, 40 CS up on Vlad. He was just scaling completely free, and the thing as well, in these fights, he was buying so much time for Riddle, and I'm just super impressed. Who is this Rudolph guy, man?
And again, you know, Riddle didn't field the roster. Well, they couldn't field the roster that they wanted to because of a number of reasons, logistical issues, and elsewise. But one of the problems that we had with Bifrost last split was Shikari and Fury's laning was sometimes a bit awry. Now, Fury had great lane this time, was into a Renekton. LeBlanc into Renekton gets a bit bully-like because Renekton goes up to the wave, gets slapped with a QW combo, and also had a lot of help from the jungler coming in. DiamondProx had a good job, a good deal of pressure in that mid lane specifically, getting that first blood, as we can see in this replay as well. I mean, Jax Black wants to be on the wave. Renekton needs to have access to minions to get up that Fury bar, continue pressuring out things with empowered abilities. They use that as an absolute, just like a target on them, pushes in that wave, down in the first blood.
And that's the Lee Sin LeBlanc we talked about in the Champions Select. As soon as they get that lockdown in the mid game, obviously DiamondProx with all that experience is going to play for the mid lane. But looking into the Riddle, just as you were debating, this is not the full composition. This is not the composition we saw that video. Like, oh, I love this.
Let's make a roster announcement. Hang on, maybe not this day.
Not today. We're just teasing you, naughty, naughty. But obviously, this is a good showcase of Riddle nonetheless. This is a team that we may expect a lot because because if this is not the full roster, and if they're facing Bifrost with DiamondProx, this could be a contender for top 4.
Yeah, I'm just imagining how they would perform if they were able to play with the full roster, right? Or maybe Rudolph just insane, I don't know. But the thing is that they were playing the fights kind of well. I feel like Shikari had some issues in the fights. I think he went in a bit too early, so in a lot of these fights, Riddle actually managed to get what they wanted for free. They got Stefan the reset, the first thing that happened in that fight. Where gets the reset, and after that, it's just kind of clean up from them. And they were playing super well. Honestly, I thought this game was going to be quite one-sided because when you're playing with subs, it's super hard to do that.
And I think it is really important that you bring up the Shikari Gwen thing at that point too, because it wasn't just the laning phase that wasn't right as rain for one of the best top laners in our region. Actually, the W usage wasn't really getting the value that maybe we ascribed to it in that champion, like saying, oh, you're going to control zones with this Ziggs, you're just going to run through it with the Gwen W, you're going to be able to potentially 1v9. That really wasn't the case. Part of that was that laning performance. It really put back that Gwen in terms of the amount of golden experience they had. But outside of that, it was also just in the fights as well. That W wasn't really getting the value they needed to, and Riddle really punished that.
Talking about fights, we do have a replay from the Dragon that actually sums a lot of this game, if we may. There we go. And this is the face-off between two teams where you should use that advantage in terms of Ziggs. Zone out people. You get the Vladimir going into the lane. Jaxplex wants to go in, but
look where Shikari is right now. Like he stood there, he's trying to block off the pass and just can't get enough done. And it does seem a little bit like, for those of you that played the Ruined King game, you'll know about the lore between Gwen and Viego and other things in the Ruination. That was kind of the battle in a lot of these fights, right? Because Stefan gets those resets. You very importantly mentioned that before M-Test. You get those points with the secondary ultimates come through. It's a lot of extra damage on the table. If Gwen hasn't done enough of the heavy lifting before that point, it gets really snowballed after that point. Kill into resets.
And this was a game that I was looking into, and I thought, okay, this is going to be, my eyes are going to be on DiamondProx. DiamondProx, I'm looking into this jungler. And then I look into the game, I'm like, who's this Stefan guy? He looks good. 5-0.
Yeah, I remember we were sat there looking at the first one. I was like, oh my gosh, it's DiamondProx. He's playing the skin that he always plays. He's always played the Muay Thai skin. All of these memories flooding back. First blood. And there's like, first blood? Blood is the Vladimir specialty. Hemomancer comes in. And that was really impressive from Stefan. Absolutely. Props given where it's due.
Yeah, no, I think for sure. They I think if they can just build on this, obviously Riddle last bit around, they were a strong contender, right? They were doing super well. And you have a lot of questions with this new lineup. Obviously, again, they didn't get their full lineup today, but we will see that in the next coming weeks. And I'm just looking super excited. I think their playstyle was just super fun to watch, honestly. And man, as you mentioned as well.
See if they keep it up.
Yeah, keep it up, yeah.
Let's see what happens. But now, finally get the pleasure to do this. We have the first interview with the winner from Bifrost. It's going to be DiamondProx that is waiting for us for the interview. Pleasure to have you with us, DiamondProx. Pleasure to meet you as well. And welcome to the league.
Hello. Thank you very much. Glad to be here as well.
Okay, so before we start, it is a pleasure to meet you in person because we played together. Might as well. We played against each other at ESL back in the day. You defeated my team so hard, my support rage quitted in the middle of the game. And that's when you showed me that I should change into a caster. So thank you so much for showing me the light. And welcome to the league. Now, looking into Bifrost, how are you feeling about this team? How is the adaptation for you at NLC?
So far, so good. We haven't played too much because the split is going to be very long. So we're just now starting to kind of warm up and prepare as much as we can, as hard as we can. We will see how it goes. But for now, I really enjoy the attitude of the players and how we work together. And the basic level of the team that we have is higher than I had before. So we can only grow further, I think.
Okay, I want to make the question you are a player with a lot of experience. Let's be honest, one of the junglers with the most experience in the world right now. And I always thought that Bifrost needed a strong voice, someone to call in. Are you working as the shot caller for the team, or are you still growing into Bifrost?
I do call some stuff, but I wouldn't say that I shot call everything, you know.
Okay.
That's not how I work. I don't micromanage people. Although I sometimes try when I understand, but I think it's just the time is limited and I don't have the perfect game knowledge to micromanage every player everywhere. So I'm just trying to do what I can. I call for the rotations that I know, and I'm trying to learn as much as we can to help the teammates grow.
Okay, now the last question for you, DiamondProx, at least for now, is what is your objective at NLC?
My goal at NLC is to win this thing, possibly, hopefully, to try to win this thing, and go as far as we can on EU Masters.
Okay, sounds lovely. By the way, one of the casters is your biggest fan, and if you ever play Evelyn in the split, he might pass out. I'm just providing you with this information. DiamondProx, it was a pleasure to get to meet you, and I would like to talk to you throughout the entire split. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
There you go.
It's great that we get to not just cover these players, but also be fans of them at the same time.
Yes!
He was wearing his all-star shirt.
Yes.
That made me just nerd out for a second. Like, oh man, I remember that event so much. One of the first events that I watched live.
I'm also happy to finally talk with the person that got me into casting in a different way than initialized.
Kicked you out of being a player so hard, you became a host.
Okay, so obviously this is a player that comes in with a lot of experience and tells us, okay, I want to bring this team as far as I can get into EU Masters. And it's not saying, I want to win EU Masters. I just want to go as far as I can. This is humility, experience as well. And what do you take from this?
I think it just shows. I mean, obviously he's quite a mature player, right? Like
Yes.
He just has the experience, has been through so many continents to play, and just the fact that he shows now that he obviously he's not gonna come here and being cocky and like I'm gonna just take over, I'm gonna win it all, because let's face it, it's a different team. He has to once again to adapt, and we're gonna see the scaling once again. Let's see if DiamondProx can actually scale in the NLC.
Talking about the
scaling
adaptation. Okay, tell me.
mindset. The scaling mindset. No, I was just excited about the scaling mindset. There you go.
And talking about adaptation, we have to talk with Riddle to understand how they are adapting to the team they have, to the team they announced, to the team they played with. And this is why we have the interview. TomKick on the other side. Hello. Okay, hello. Pleasure to meet you. Obviously, Nymeta here on my side has a lot to talk with you as well, so I might give you at least one question. Okay, hit me.
It's fair to say, this has been a day of anecdotes. A number of years ago, just before I started casting, we played in an amateur
Oh, he knows.
team. We played in an amateur team together. So, Tom, I want to ask you one question. Why didn't you draft Ezreal Braum like I drafted for you every single game we played together?
You know, like we hadn't practiced too much different stuff, so it wasn't really in the plan for today. You know, I was thinking about it since it was you on the desk today. Ezreal Braum might have been the thing, but sadly not this time.
Okay, TomKick, now for me, we're going to kick Nymeta away from the interview, if you may. Tell me, who are you in the team? What are you doing in the team so everybody knows back at home? Who are you?
Yes, I'm the assistant coach for Riddle, so I'm the one helping Don't Panic on the side, prepping, drafting, the strategies and everything.
Okay, so tell me, how is it right now? Because obviously you're not using your full roster, so that's a lot of work on your side, right?
Yeah, so there has been some unfortunate events, so we're just trying to make the best out of it as we can, and we're having fun, and we could show today that we were having a good showing against Bifrost. Didn't sadly go all the way, but like we're in a good mood and the boys are positive, so I think we can also have a good showing on Wednesday.
And I think that's the scariest thing for the enemy when they look into a team that just lost. They're not using the full roster. And you say, I mean, we're just having fun. And we provided a lot of stress for Bifrost, a team that I was looking into, probably top 2 in this split. So it seems like Riddle is looking or aiming at top 3 at least. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, like we're just trying to get as far as possible. We haven't set like a specific thing, like we're looking for top 3. It's more of like, as previous years, like scaling into the season, improving, and hopefully show at the end that we are a top team. We'll take it step by step.
I understand the politeness, and I want to know, how are scrims going? I want to get a snap.
Scrims are going pretty well, but we've been scrimming with a lot of different rosters, with a lot of different teams because of the player situation. But overall, I think we're in a good position. So when everything gets back to more normal, hopefully next week, I think you're going to see a totally different team.
Okay, it's a pleasure to get to know you, to talk with you, to understand what you're doing in the team. And I would like to say sorry for having to deal with Nymeta back in the past. So thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Always. And there we go. We're back in the studio.
He was a pretty good Braum. All things said, he was a pretty good Braum.
At least. Obviously, like, I'm really happy that we got to play even with an incomplete roster and we're having fun. To me, that's the most important thing. You told me, like, as a player, all you want to do to begin with is have fun.
Especially when things like this happens, where maybe you could have done a better job prepping this, but you cannot do anything about it in this situation. So why not just have a laugh about it and go on?
Have a laugh. I love that part. Now we should look into the standings as they are right now. Let's look, summarizing Bifrost, Vanian, and JDXL at the top of it. And on the bottom, we have Riddle, Team Singularity, and X7. Well, this is a sight that I never thought I would see in my life working at NLC. What about you, Nightmare? Because I want your intake on this.
My initial, so one of the big running jokes we had last split was Riddle being top of Group B, which is just the right-hand side of things. We'll see if that works out, see if production can hook us up with that at the end of the day.